What's up, guys? We got this week's best UFC bets for UFC Mexico City Moreno versus Erceg, and I'm excited for this week's card. There are a lot of great fights, so let's go ahead and jump right into it with my lock of the week being none other than Brandon Moreno over Steve Erceg. Erceg is coming off of that knockout loss to Kai France where he got absolutely starched in the first round. And then the performance before that where he put on one of the best performances of his life against the champ Alexandre Pantoja. But I feel like that was once in a lifetime performance for him, and I feel like this again is a step up in competition. He just got starched by Kai France. Now you're putting him up against the number one ranked in Brandon Moreno, where he was supposed to first Asu Almabayev, but push comes to something happened, and Brandon Moreno is who he is fighting. And I think Brandon Moreno is going to show him who's boss, to be completely honest. I mean, Brandon Moreno in his last fight against Amir Albazi looked absolutely phenomenal in the striking department. He was landing some big shots on Albazi, mixing in some clean, quick combination, and he was able to land some timely takedowns on Amir Albazi. So I gotta favor the side of Moreno. I really do. I feel like he's progressively improving, whereas Steve Erceg really hasn't been improving. I feel like he just kind of had that once in a lifetime performance where he put on a damn good performance, but he still lost, and they're still kind of trying to push him up the rankings relatively fast, and I feel like that's gonna severely affect him in the sense that he is just not ready for it. Yes, he has stellar striking and relatively good grappling, but I feel like he's going up against better opponents in which he's not fully able to develop himself, really get to showcase himself in a sense, in which I feel like he's going to lose to Brandon Moreno. Moreno's consistently been improving, consistently getting better, and just is going to outstrike, outwork, and outdog a Steve Erceg, to be completely honest. Sitting at a negative 240, I love the value out of Brandon Moreno. I really think that you can add him into parlays. You can even throw money on him straight down the middle, and I think you're going to win. I think he's the lock of the week. I think that he's more skilled than Steve Erceg, not to mention Steve Erceg really relies kind of on the striking, but I think that Brandon Moreno is going to be quicker, more explosive, be able to find the target, more accurate. So give me Brandon Moreno to beat Steve Erceg. And let's go ahead and run it to my most confident picks of this week in Jamal Emmers to beat Gabriel Miranda to start off with. I really think Jamal Emmers is going to beat Gabriel Miranda. Miranda is a very one-stop shop in the sense that he's one-dimensional. He relies too much on his grappling to get the better of his opponents. He doesn't bring enough of a striking threat. Whereas on the other side of it, you have Emmers, who has really good takedown defense and then even better striking skills. So I gotta favor the side of Jamal Emmers. I think that he's gonna be able to defensively keep this on the feet, snub the takedowns of Gabriel Miranda, and land some big shots on him and even knock him out. Gabriel Miranda doesn't have the best head movement. He also is chinny, and he isn't the best in terms of striking in the sense that he gets overzealous and leaves himself open to counter shots, in which Jamal Emmers can definitely exploit, seeing as he has a 3-inch reach advantage, and he's going to be the more quicker and more explosive fighter. So give me Jamal Emmers by knockout, sitting at a negative 312 for money straight down the middle. I like the odds in that, but I also like the odds by knockout sitting at a plus 135. I think that he's going to defensively keep this on the feet, and I think he's going to absolutely pick apart and knock out a Gabriel Miranda, who is just a very one-dimensional fighter. And let's go ahead and run it to my next confident pick in David Martinez over Simon Oliveira. David Martinez in his last fight against Xavier Franklin absolutely dominated him, showed some really impressive striking skills with his feet being very quick, snappy, high to low, his mix of his crafty combinations, his ability to mix in his striking with his grappling as well was looking stellar. So I gotta favor the side of David Martinez, not to mention, if you look on the other side of David Martinez, one of the reasons I am confident in him, even though he only had the one fight in Contender Series debut, is the fact that he's going up against Simon Oliveira. If you watch Simon Oliveira, he is one of the worst fighters I have ever seen fight. He turns his back to his opponents. He lacks in the cardio department. He lacks in the striking department. He is a very one-dimensional fighter that relies on his grappling, and his grappling isn't even the best. He got out-grappled by Tony Gravely, which says a lot. Tony Gravely isn't even a good grappler at all, and he was able to absolutely demolish him on the ground. So, I mean, Simon Oliveira is one of the most mediocre fighters I have ever seen, with some of the worst fight IQ, worst cardio, worst striking, and worst grappling, to be honest. He literally will shoot from across the ring and not mix in his striking with his grappling, in the sense that he would just shoot, lay his head down, and go for the takedown. Any shots up the middle will have a devastating effect on Oliveira, because of the fact that he is so bad with his grappling and his striking, in the sense that he's overzealous with both of them, leaving his head wide open for counter shots or just shots up the middle in general. So give me David Martinez to beat Simon Oliveira, sitting at a negative 365. I love the odds for David Martinez. He is one of my more confident picks, in the sense that Simon Oliveira is just one of the worst fighters, inconsistent, just really shitty in terms of his striking and grappling, just is super overzealous, leaves a lot of openings, and I believe David Martinez can completely exploit them and deliver a devastating finish over Simon Oliveira. And let's run it to the next confident pick in Joe Pyfer over Kevin Gastelum, which I know is going to be a shock to a lot of you guys, because Kevin Gastelum is a veteran with a disgusting chin. I mean, he does not get knocked out. He is a tough, gritty fighter that is in your face and puts a lot of pressure on you, but I just think that Joe Pyfer is a lot quicker, a lot more explosive, a lot more accurate, and he's better at getting to the target. So I gotta favor the side of Pyfer. I think that he can also mix in some timely takedowns, take down Kevin Gastelum, and land some brutal ground and pound. I feel like Pyfer is the younger, more quicker and explosive fighter. Not to mention Kevin Gastelum really hasn't been looking the best in his fight against Rodriguez. He kind of looked a little bit slow and sluggish. Yes, he ended up winning, but again, you got to look at the facts, and he just didn't look the same as before. Yes, I get that he is on a new diet and with a new nutritionist, so we do need to see how he's going to look, but I still think Pyfer is going to be able to close that distance, be able to put a lot of pressure and pace on him, and be able to work him down and beat him via decision. I did think that it was going to be by knockout, but Kevin Gastelum, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to be able to take some of the big shots. Yes, Pyfer's live for knockout, but honestly, the more that I think about it, the more I see a decision more than likely to happen, but KO is still definitely live. And let's go ahead and run it to the next confident pick in Rafa Garcia. I said Garcias. I meant Rafa Garcia. I like Rafa Garcia. I think that he is a absolute savage, especially going up against somebody in Vince Pichel as your opponent. I think that Rafa Garcia is a confident call. I mean, Vince Pichel is a 42-year-old that is inactive, that really isn't the best. I mean, he has good striking skills, but take that with a grain of salt. He can get wild and chaotic at moments and leave himself open for takedowns and open for counter shots that I think that Rafa Garcia can completely exploit. I see Rafa Garcia being able to outstrike, be the quicker fighter on the inside. Not to mention, I think he's going to be able to land some timely takedowns, garner some control time, and could possibly even find a submission finish over a Vince Pichel. I really do think so. I think Rafa Garcia is definitely live for a submission, but more than likely it's going to be a very tough tit-for-tat, back-and-forth fight where I think Rafa Garcia times some timely takedowns and gets the better of Vince Pichel in the striking area. And let's go ahead and run it to my underdog picks of this week in Kevin Boras over Ronaldo Rodriguez to start it off. I like Kevin Boras over Ronaldo Rodriguez, and I'm going to tell you why. Yes, Ronaldo Rodriguez is a savage that has insane recoverability and insane cardio, along with a good grappling skill set, but I just think that Kevin Boras is one of those strikers that is very slept on, that is very highly skilled, that has good fight IQ and knows how to mix it up on the feet and in the grappling department. Yes, his grappling isn't the best, but honestly, his grappling is good in the sense that he knows how to get up when being taken down very explosively. Also, he is very good at not letting his opponent take him down to the floor. So I like the side of Kevin Boras. Yes, Rodriguez is relentless with his pressure, and he's going to be able to probably land a takedown, but I think that Boras is going to be able to get out of the grip of Rodriguez, be able to get back up to the feet, maintain that distance, and beat Ronaldo Rodriguez with those 1-2s down the middle. There is something that a lot of people is kind of just completely forgetting, and it's the fact that Ronaldo Rodriguez's head movement is one of the worst in the division. He does not move his head off the center line. He is prone to shots straight down the middle, and Kevin Boras is one of the best strikers straight down the middle. He throws knees up the middle. He has a front kick up the middle. He has nice 1-2s straight down the middle. So I gotta favor the side of Boras. I think he's gonna be able to outdog a Rodriguez. And I know that's super crazy to a lot of you guys, but I really feel like Boras' straight down the middle shots are gonna have an effect on Rodriguez, and they're gonna land brutally, and he's going to be able to outdog Rodriguez. Rodriguez has a lot of hype on him. Don't get me wrong, he's a very highly skilled and highly talented prospect. But I feel like Kevin Boras is being slept on, and I feel like his strikes straight down the middle are going to have a huge effect on Rodriguez, and I believe he's going to be able to absolutely work him and beat him on the feet. So give me Kevin Boras to beat Ronaldo Rodriguez, sitting at a plus 135. I love the odds for Kevin Boras. And then we got the next underdog pick in Ezequiel Costa over Christian Rodriguez, which is another surprise to many of you guys probably. But I think Costa is a more well-rounded fighter than any of the fighters that Christian Rodriguez has ever faced. To be completely honest, Costa in his debut went against Thiago Moises, and though losing, he had some moments in that fight, and he even showed some tough grittiness in the fight against oh my gosh, Andre Fili. He landed some nice kicks up, not up the middle, but on the side, and ended up submitting a Andre Fili in impressive fashion. Costa is a tactician with his striking and a submission ace. So when I say that Costa is going to be able to beat Rodriguez, I see him being able to not only beat him in the grappling department, being able to beat him in the striking department. Those left body kicks that Costa brings are going to absolutely tag Christian. Not to mention he can throw it up high, land the high kick to the head of Christian Rodriguez, tagging him, and ultimately putting him down. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a tit-for-tat back-and-forth fight where at some point, Ezequiel Costa is going to get the back of Christian Rodriguez, because it tends to happen in every single one of his fights against Cameron Simon, against Austin Bashi, and against Raul Rojas at one point. They all had his back. So I feel like Costa is going to end up getting the back of Christian Rodriguez, and he's going to submit him. I really do believe so. So sitting at a plus 141 straight down the middle money line, I like Ezequiel Costa. I think that he's a well-rounded fighter that brings a good striking threat and even better grappling threat. So I gotta favor the side of Ezequiel Costa. I really do. I really think that he is a great underdog pick along with Kevin Boras. So these are the underdog picks of this week, and we're gonna go ahead and run it to my Degen props of this week, starting off with Jamal Emmers by knockout, which I brought up earlier, sitting at a plus 135, actually a plus 125 now. I think Emmers can knock out Miranda. Like I said, Miranda doesn't bring enough of a striking threat, really relies purely on his grappling to get the better of his opponents, in which Emmers has one of the best grappling defensive abilities that I've seen, and an even better striking ability. So give me Emmers to knock out Gabriel Miranda, who is chinny and leaves his head on the center line a little bit too much. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop in Costa by submission. I like Meziquel Costa by submission. Like I said, Christian Rodriguez in multiple of his fights against Raul Rojas, against Cameron Simon, he had his back taken multiple times. And if Costa gets that back, he is submitting Christian Rodriguez. He is not letting him get out of the grasp of his hands. So give me Costa by decision or by submission. Sitting at a plus 500, I really think that his submission skills are being slept on here, and I think that he can out grapple and find the submission finish on a Christian Rodriguez who is being overhyped. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop in David Martinez via knockout. I like David Martinez via knockout. Sitting at a plus 125, Oliveira, like I said, is one of the worst fighters ever. He turns his back to his opponents time and time again. He spams spinning back fists, leaving himself open to counter shots. Not only that, he has the worst cardio in his striking and his grappling. He gets overzealous, leaving himself open. So I gotta favor the side of Martinez. I really think that there's going to be so many holes for him to exploit, and I think he's going to find the counter knockout sitting at a plus 125. I agree with the odds. I think it's money odds sitting at a plus 125. And let's go ahead and run it to the next Degen prop I have in Brandon Moreno via submission. Sitting at a plus 800, I think Moreno's skills in terms of grappling are being slept on. He is a submission ace with a ton of submission skills. Yes, Steve Erceg was able to fend off the grappling of Pantoja relatively well, to be completely honest. But I think that as Moreno puts that pace and that pressure on him, he's going to land some takedowns. He's going to garner some control time. He's going to be able to advance positions, find those tricky submissions, and get the finish. Give me Moreno via submission sitting at a plus 800. And let's go ahead and run it to my parlays of this week. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And let me know what you guys think of the video so far in the comments. And let's go ahead and run it to my parlays. As these parlays go on, they get more risky, more degen. So do keep that in mind. And let's go ahead and start with the first parlay on this with Garcia moneyline and Pfeiffer moneyline sitting at a negative 169. I love the odds for this parlay. I really think that Garcia is going to be able to outwork and outdog a Vince Pichel who is 42, inactive, and just really, honestly, mediocre. And then on the other side of it, Pfeiffer should be a lot quicker and a lot more explosive than Kevin Gastelum, who looked a lot slower and a lot more chaotic in that last fight against D-Rod. I feel like he's going to be able to pick him apart. He's going to find some big shots on the feet, could possibly knock him out, but ultimately I think it's going to be a very close tit-for-tat battle in which Joe Pfeiffer gets the better of Kevin Gastelum. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in Moreno moneyline, Pfeiffer moneyline sitting at a negative 124. I love those odds. I think that they are phenomenal. I think it's a very safe parlay. Like I said, Moreno should be able to get the better of Steve Erceg because of the fact that he has a grappling advantage, and I think that he honestly has a striking advantage. I think he's quicker. I think he's a little bit more accurate, and he's better at closing that distance than Steve Erceg. So give me Moreno. Pfeiffer, like I said, is going to outstrike, outwork, and outdog a Kevin Gastelum. And let's throw it to the next parlay in Moreno moneyline, Emmers moneyline, sitting at a negative 114. I believe that's a safe parlay as well. I really do. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay, in which is Martinez moneyline, Pfeiffer moneyline, Garcia moneyline, sitting at a plus 103. I think that's live as well. I think Martinez should definitely get the better of Simon Oliveira because of the fact that he's so bad and so one-dimensional. He turns his back to his opponents, and he's just honestly terrible. So give me Martinez. Pfeiffer should outdog, outstrike, outwork Kevin Gastelum. Garcia, same thing, should outwork, outdog a Vince Pichel who is 42 and just at the later end of his career. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in Emmer's money line, over 2.5 in the Raul Rojas fight, sitting at a plus 103. I think it's alive. I love the plus money odds right there. I think Emmer should definitely knock out Gabriel Miranda. And the over 2.5, I think Raul Rojas versus Vince Morales is going to be a very tit-for-tat back-and-forth fight where it's going to end via decision. And let's go ahead and run it to the next parlay in Moreno moneyline, Garcia moneyline, Martinez moneyline, sitting at a plus 117. I love the odds. I think that is great odds, and I see all three of them winning. And I see them winning dominantly, honestly. And let's throw it to the next plus money parlay in Chavez moneyline, Martinez moneyline, over 2.5 in that Raul Rojas fight, sitting at a plus 173. I love the odds. I think Chavez is going to absolutely outdog a CJ Vergara, who's honestly kind of just not the best. Yes, he has relatively good striking with his quick hands and crafty combinations, but I think he lacks in the grappling department. I think that Chavez has a clear-cut grappling advantage and is going to be able to honestly land a submission finish. Martinez should knock out Simon, like I said, over 2.5. I think Raul Rojas versus Vince Morales is a close tit-for-tat war in which Raul Rojas walks away with a decision win. And let's throw it to the next plus money parlay in Moreno moneyline, Costa moneyline, sitting at a plus 241. I paired my lock with my most confident underdog pick in Costa at plus 241. I love the value. I think that it is a excellent parlay with these two, with Moreno and Costa, and I see it honestly hitting. That is one of my more confident parlays, if you will. And let's go ahead and run it to the knockout parlay of this week in Emmers by knockout, Martinez by knockout, sitting at a plus 429. Like I said, I think that Emmers is going to be able to close the distance, be able to absolutely work and destroy a Gabriel Miranda who's chinny and just honestly doesn't bring enough of a striking threat. And then on the other side of it, you got Martinez, who is going up against a shitty fighter in Simon Oliveira. And then let's go ahead and throw it to the next parlay in the Degen parlay, sitting with Costa moneyline, Pfeiffer moneyline, Raul Rojas Jr. moneyline, and Medeiros over 2.5, sitting at a plus 434. I love this parlay. Obviously, it's a little bit Degen. You got 4 lines, but I see all of them as live. I really do. I think that Raul Rojas is going to be better than Vince Morales. He's going to get the better of him in the striking department and in the grappling department, landing some takedowns, advancing positions, and landing some nice ground and pound. So give me Raul Rojas over Vince Morales. And let's throw it to the next parlay in Borjas moneyline, Costa moneyline, sitting at a plus 466. This is the underdog parlay of this week. I like both of these underdogs. Like I said, Borjas has straight shots up the middle that could definitely hurt Ronaldo Rodriguez, who is prone to shots straight down the middle. And then Costa should be able to outwork, outdog, and outstrike a Christian Rodriguez who has mainly been up against one-dimensional fighters, whereas Costa is a very well-rounded fighter with a good striking skill set and a good grappling skill set. So I think that he's going to be able to get the better of a Christian Rodriguez. And let's go ahead and run it to the prop Degen parlay of this week in Costa by sub, Martinez by knockout, sitting at a plus 1250. Amazing odds right there for Costa by sub and Martinez by KO. And I see them both hitting, to be completely honest. Yes, Christian Rodriguez has good grappling skills, but Costa, I think, brings a little bit better of grappling skills than what Christian Rodriguez is used to be completely honest. So I gotta favor the side of Costa over Christian Rodriguez, and I think a submission is very, very live. I really do. And let's throw it to the submission parlay of this week in Moreno by sub, Costa by sub, sitting at a plus 5,300. Max Degen, but I see both of them as possibilities. I think Moreno could definitely club and sub a Steve Erceg. Not to mention with his relentless pressure and pace, he's going to time some timely takedowns. He could advance positions, and he could find that tricky submission. So give me Moreno by sub, give me Costa by sub, and sitting at a plus 5,300. It's phenomenal odds. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And let me know what you guys think of the video in the comments. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.